got me fucked up. Yeah, hold on.
What's up?
Let me gather myself.
These just chocolate brothers from another mother. Hey, yo, this brother that shit gave me so much love in every record.
Man, I appreciate
you know what I'm saying? And
I appreciate
I
you, baby. Appreciate you.
We done had lunch.
Yeah.
And then we spent New Year's together.
That was dinner for lunch.
Hey, yo, check this out. This is your night, yo.
Yeah, for sure.
You the hottest nigga game. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate
And we gonna go and
let's do it.
Down and we're gonna have a good time.
Everybody
give him a round of applause. Round of applause. Round of applause. That's right, for Kurt. This guy right here.
Good to see you, baby. You look good with that all black and them diamonds on you.
Yeah. I told you what it was.
Good.
Yeah, I told you.
You done met Arnold.
DaBaby's career has been a roller coaster of viral moments, legal battles, and public controversies. From the moment he broke through, his brand wasn't just about the music. It was about energy, aggression, and that unpredictable, don't mess with me persona. But as time went on, fans started wondering if some of his behavior came from more than just arrogance. They started tying it to whispers about his private life, especially his alleged connections to Diddy's infamous parties. Let's back it up. DaBaby had his mainstream blow-up with tracks like Suge and Rockstar, but the controversies came just as fast. In 2020, he went viral for all the wrong reasons when he punched a female fan in Tampa for putting a phone too close to his face. The clip hit the blogs within hours, and the backlash was instant. His team scrambled, apologizing and claiming he couldn't see because of the light, but the damage was already done. That wasn't the only time either. Later, his security was caught on video putting hands on another woman outside a nightclub. These weren't isolated incidents. They painted a pattern. Then came the infamous Rolling Loud Miami performance in 2021. On stage, DaBaby made homophobic remarks that set off a firestorm. Big brands pulled endorsements, festivals dropped him from lineups, and even fellow artists called him out. But instead of laying low, DaBaby doubled down with defensive posts, acting like the world was trying to cancel him. Fans noticed the contradiction. A man so vocal about being real suddenly caught up in rumors linking him to the very communities he was disrespecting. That's when the whispers got louder. Social media started bringing up his alleged appearances at Diddy's private gatherings. For years, people have said those parties were more than just music networking. They were coded spaces where powerful men blurred personal and professional lines. Orlando Brown, always quick with explosive claims, outright said DaBaby had ties to those rooms. And while most brushed it off as Orlando being Orlando, others pointed to DaBaby's aggressive, defensive energy as the behavior of someone hiding bigger secrets. To add fuel, DaBaby also sided with Tory Lanez after the shooting incident with Megan Thee Stallion. Instead of staying neutral, he clowned Megan publicly and even collaborated with Tory. That decision torpedoed his support from female fans and cemented his image as someone constantly choosing chaos over accountability. At the same time, the rumor mill kept linking his name back to Diddy's world. Old photos surfaced of him at Diddy's events, videos of them interacting casually, and captions that aged badly once the lawsuits against Diddy started piling up. The streets started making their own connections. How could a man so homophobic in public also be tied to one of the most talked about underground networks in hip-hop? Was his behavior just overcompensation? People pointed out that sometimes the loudest critics are hiding the very things they condemn. Suddenly, DaBaby's bad boy persona looked less like confidence and more like deflection. And once your name is in that conversation, it's hard to shake. The same way the internet still jokes about Bow Wow and those yacht rumors, DaBaby's legacy is now tangled up in Diddy's scandals. Even when he tries to steer the focus back to music, fans drag the conversation right back into the gossip. It's like no matter how many times he denies it, the association won't die. This is the part of the story where things stop being about one artist and start being about patterns. Because DaBaby ain't the only one whose name keeps coming up in this context. And that's where Busta Rhymes enters the picture.
We made love.
Who you made love with?
Diddy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes.
You just told me you see Busta in the airport.
When people think of Busta Rhymes, they think of the fast flow, the wild energy, the larger-than-life presence that's been part of hip-hop for decades. He's a legend, no question, but lately his name has been popping up in conversations that got nothing to do with music. Conversations about Diddy, secret parties, and what really goes on behind closed doors in the industry. Let's start with the footage that keeps resurfacing. For years, random clips have floated around showing Busta in questionable situations. One that fans constantly bring up is the video of him and Diddy together at a party with body language that had people talking. Nothing explicit, nothing proof, but enough for the internet to raise eyebrows. In today's climate, those short clips don't disappear. They get recycled every few months as new evidence to fit an old rumor. Then there's Tony Newman. For those who don't know, Tony Newman was a transgender advocate who wrote about alleged encounters with major celebrities. Back in the day, Newman claimed Busta was part of those Hollywood underground scenes, tied to secretive events where NDAs were mandatory and cameras weren't allowed. At the time, Busta brushed off the claims, but the internet never really forgot. Every time Diddy's scandals resurface, Tony Newman's name comes back with them, and Busta gets dragged into the conversation all over again. On top of that, you've got Orlando Brown throwing his own gasoline on the fire. He's the type to name names without hesitation, and he's mentioned Busta's name alongside Diddy's before, saying flat out that these rappers are involved in things the public would never expect. Normally, people roll their eyes at Orlando, but the fact that his wild statements keep overlapping with other stories makes some fans wonder if there's more truth in his chaos than people admit. And let's not forget Busta's own behavior over the years. He's had public outbursts that look like overcompensation, especially when it comes to LGBTQ+ conversations. Back in the early 2000s, he walked out of an interview when the topic of gay rights came up, snapping on the host. Years later, he made headlines again for heated comments in similar situations. To many, it looked like classic cover behavior. The louder you deny, the more people think you're hiding. Add to that his tight industry ties. Busta's been around long enough to connect with almost every major player, from Dr. Dre to 50 Cent to Diddy himself. And 50? He's been trolling Diddy for years, dropping jokes that feel like coded references to what he really knows. He's laughed about freak-offs, cracked lines about Diddy's parties, and slid shade in interviews. If 50's willing to clown Diddy openly, people wonder what else he's hinting at indirectly, and if Busta's name is tangled in that. What makes this even wilder is the NDAs. Multiple insiders have said that Diddy makes party guests sign non-disclosure agreements, locking in silence about what goes down. That's why proof never really leaks. No videos, no receipts, just whispers. But the thing about secrets is they always find cracks. Stories still spill. And when enough names keep coming up, people start connecting dots whether they should or not. For Busta Rhymes, this means his legacy is being judged on more than just his catalog. Fans still respect him as a rap icon, but the whispers about his alleged double life won't fade. Instead of focusing on his music, younger audiences are seeing TikToks and YouTube clips, painting him as another player in Diddy's hidden world. And once the internet decides you're part of that conversation, it doesn't matter how much you deny it. You're in it for life. Now here's where it gets messy. When you look at DaBaby and Busta Rhymes side by side, the patterns start to look way too similar. Both of them got a history of being extra aggressive in public. Both of them have blown up for homophobic outbursts, and both of their names keep circling back into whispers about Diddy's private lifestyle. That's where the cover behavior theory comes in. The idea that some of the loudest critics of the LGBTQ+ community are the same ones living double lives behind the scenes. For DaBaby, the Rolling Loud meltdown felt like textbook deflection. You don't go out of your way to target a group that harshly unless you're trying to make a point that maybe ain't even about them, but about protecting your own image. Same with Busta, walking out of interviews when the topic came up, lashing out when asked about tolerance. It reads less like confidence, more like panic. The louder they shout, "I'm not that," the more people assume they might be. And this ain't just random speculation. The industry has receipts of people pulling the same move before. Plenty of rappers, athletes, and even Hollywood actors built careers on hyper-masculine energy while hiding skeletons in the closet. So when DaBaby and Busta both move the same way, the internet eats it up. It becomes less about proof and more about the vibe. And vibes spread faster than facts. But what really keeps this fire burning is 50 Cent. If you know Fif, you know he's the king of trolling. But the thing about his jokes is, they usually come with a grain of truth. He's been clowning Diddy for years, saying things like, he always want to party with the boys, or hinting about freak-offs in interviews. To the casual fan, it's comedy. To those who've been watching the industry closely, it feels like inside baseball. Like he knows exactly what's happening, but chooses to laugh about it instead of spelling it out. And when 50 drops those jokes, guess whose names get dragged right along with Diddy's? Yup, Busta and DaBaby. Every time there's a new clip of 50 trolling, the blogs throw in old footage of Busta at Diddy's parties or remind people of DaBaby showing up at Diddy events. Suddenly, the conversation isn't about what 50 said, it's about who else is in the picture. That's the dangerous part of these rumors. You don't even need proof. All you need is repetition. Every few months, somebody like Orlando Brown or Tony Newman says a name, 50 Cent drops a slick joke, and the cycle restarts. It doesn't matter if there's ever a smoking gun. The narrative becomes permanent. And for fans, it's entertaining. They love speculating, making memes, dragging old interviews back into the spotlight. But for the artists, it's a nightmare. DaBaby's career already took a hit from his rolling loud comments, and instead of bouncing back clean, now he's fighting a new narrative about living a double life. Busta's legacy as a rap legend gets overshadowed by whispers about what he was allegedly doing behind closed doors. The truth is, the industry has always run on smoke and mirrors. What the fans see is only half the story. The rest happens in rooms we'll never be invited into, rooms where NDAs get signed, phones get taken, and careers get both built and broken. And Diddy's name sits at the center of those rooms more often than not. So when 50 Cent cracks jokes and people laugh, there's another group watching closely and asking, is he laughing because it's funny or because it's true? Once your name gets tied to Diddy's world, it doesn't matter how many denials you drop. That label sticks. For DaBaby and Busta Rhymes, the whispers have become part of their public identity, whether fair or not. And in the era of memes and viral clips, perception often outweighs reality. Look at DaBaby. His music still gets spins, his visuals still rack up millions. But ask most fans what they remember about him in the last few years, and they'll bring up Rolling Loud, his fight with Megan Thee Stallion, and now these freak-off rumors. His bad boy image, once his greatest asset, has turned into baggage. Instead of being seen as fearless, he's seen as reckless. And when you mix in the allegations of him moving around in Diddy's orbit, suddenly the picture shifts from controversial rapper to rapper with something to hide. That changes how both fans and the industry look at you. For Busta, the situation cuts even deeper. He's a certified legend, an icon with decades of hits, unforgettable videos, and one of the most unique flows in hip-hop history. But legacy can be fragile. Younger fans who weren't around for his prime don't start with the classics. They start with whatever's viral today. And today, what's viral ain't his music. It's old clips being reposted with captions like, "Look at Busta at Diddy's party," or TikToks dragging up Tony Newman's claims. His catalog deserves respect, but the noise around him threatens to distort how the next generation views his name. That's the harsh truth about hip-hop and Hollywood. Secrets don't stay buried forever, and rumors don't need evidence to live forever. The streets already decided what they think, and the internet keeps feeding that decision every time Diddy's scandals make headlines. Whether it's NDAs, old photos, or 50 Cent cracking another joke, the story keeps spinning. And once you're part of that cycle, there's no clean way out. So what's the bigger picture here? It's not just about DaBaby or Busta, it's about how the industry itself operates. Diddy's parties have been whispered about for decades. Everyone knows they exist. Everyone knows certain names are tied to them, but nobody ever shows proof. That's how power works. You don't need to silence everyone if fear, contracts, and reputation do the job for you. And every time an artist acts out, lashes out, or over-explains, the public just sees it as confirmation that the rumors are real. DaBaby might be able to rebuild if he drops undeniable hits and keeps his head down, but it'll be an uphill battle. For Busta, it's about protecting a legacy that shouldn't be defined by gossip. But fair or not, the shadow of Diddy's world will always follow them. And unless someone breaks the code, unless one of those alleged tapes or files ever leaks, it'll all stay in the realm of speculation. The kind of speculation that entertains fans but haunts the artist tied to it. At the end of the day, this is the reality of modern fame. Your music gets you in the door, but the stories, true or not, decide how long people keep your name in their mouths. For DaBaby and Busta, the music might be timeless, but the rumors? Those are forever.